Hey, everybody, it's Colton. Welcome back to the Mile 17 podcast. So thankful that you're here. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm in a studio. This is so awesome. I moved into an apartment complex that actually has a studio, which is so amazing. I am so thankful, so grateful, so blessed to even be able to use something like this. I just feel super privileged, and I just feel like this is going to make the content even better because it's a little bit more visually appealing. And again, if you're watching on video, you can see the outfit I've got on today. I'm going totally island style. My husband just bought this hat and it's amazing. It's beautiful. Got my Honolulu shirt on. It's giving island vibes. We've been home. We went to Hawaii probably, oh gosh, we've probably been back over a month now. And I just miss it. There's something about the islands that is just so peaceful, so healing, so spiritual. I can't wait to go back. We're actually going to be going back in December because I will be running the Honolulu Marathon. So stay tuned. If you follow me on social media at Colton Lord 17, you will see all of our endeavors in Hawaii. We have the best time. We post a lot of just our time while we're there, our hikes, our favorite coffee shops, and it's fabulous. So if you want to follow along, check me out on social media at Colton Lord 17. Again, that's on Instagram. And I think you'll really enjoy being able to be along on our Hawaiian trips. So today, the motivation behind today's episode really had to do with I had posted something on social media, like, one of those question boxes on my Instagram story about what is the biggest barrier people have to integrating physical activity into their daily lives. And people had, there were quite a few varieties of different answers, but the main one that I noticed was really a couple things. One was either like mental health, depression type things, which we can talk about maybe in another episode. But the biggest barrier that people claim to have was time. And this just got me thinking, like, what is our perception of time? Like, do we all have this different perception of what we can do in 24 hours? And I think our relationship to time is a big factor in this. And as I was, thinking about this, I was like, I don't want to say that it's necessarily an excuse for people that they use that they don't have time, but it is. It is kind of an excuse. And what I think is that people maybe just don't realize what they're actually doing with their time. And if you listen to a lot of experts on, personal development or growth or, motivational speakers or inspirational speakers, they'll talk about, these we think that we don't have enough time to integrate these things into our life, especially physical activity or exercise. But if you actually took inventory of what you were doing every single day throughout your day, you would realize how much time you're quote unquote wasting because how much time are you spending? The biggest one that I know you probably are all aware of is how much time we spend scrolling on social media. And maybe you're not aware of actually how much time you're spending. There's a great ways to do that now. There's apps on our phones. There's a way to keep track of our screen time every day. I know every single person listening to this or watching this, I know for a fact everybody has 20 minutes, 30 minutes to turn off the phone that they could replace with physical activity or exercise. I know that for a fact. But we underestimate how much we really can get done in a day because we think that we're like so pressed for time and that we don't have, there's not enough time in the day, yada, yada. And I'm not discounting the fact that you probably have so much going on in your life. You probably have kids, you have animals, you have a full-time job and probably an extra side hustle on top of that. You're taking care of your aging parents. Like there is so much to do in a day. Like, and I understand that it's exhausting, it's overwhelming, that a lot of us put ourselves and our health on the back burner. And I'm here to say that, it's time to prioritize you and to understand that you do have the time, especially, I'm talking about physical activity, exercise. This can go for so many different things in your life. Like if there's that thing that you've been wanting to do, and whether it's like starting a business or writing a new book or updating your resume so that you can apply for this job or, you know, trying to get into like a college or whatever it may be, like learning something, taking a class, just figuring anything out, you have the time. You just have to prioritize that. And if it's something that's that important to you, I promise you will find the time and you will prioritize that in your life. So, as I was thinking about this, I kind of wrote down some things that I would consider time wasters. And, sometimes it's nice to waste some time. Like we all like to waste some time. I am fully admitting that there's some times where I just want to lay on the couch and I want to scroll on my phone for 30 minutes or an hour. And 9 times out of 10, when I'm done, I feel like shit. And I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Like, maybe instead of laying down for 20, 30 minutes, I could have like read a book or I could have just laid there in silence with my eyes closed or like took my dogs on a walk or sat on my balcony and enjoyed the weather, listened to the birds or, like there's so many different things that we can do with our time that we end up wasting because we think that we want that thing or like you get a little short term serotonin boost or those happy endorphins from again looking at your phone or watching a movie or a TV show. And by the time you're done you're like, man, I feel like shit, like I don't really like how I feel right now. And I think that if we can reframe the way that we think and rewire our brains, you'll be surprised at how much better and you'll feel and how much more energy you'll have when you start replacing those time wasters with things that are actually good for our brains and make us feel good in the long term. So that was the first time waster, scrolling, doom scrolling. I've talked about this before. We could probably talk about this 100 million other times because it's so prevalent in our society today because there's so much that we have access to by just grabbing our phone and scrolling, and it's an easy way to escape our everyday lives. And I'm here to tell you there's better out there for you. I promise you. So the second time waster that I had written down was staying up late and waking up late. And the reason that I think this is a time waster, again, this is an overgeneralization. Like, of course, there's times where we stay up late because we are at an event or at a party or out with friends or whatever the reason may be. Like we're at a sporting event. I don't know. There's so many reasons why we stay up late. I'm talking about on like our day-to-day lives. Staying up late, waking up late, it wastes time because you're wasting hours in your day. Because when you're staying up late, like what are you doing? Like you're probably watching TV, you're probably eating shitty food, you're probably scrolling on your phone. Like there's not a whole lot that we're doing to be productive or fueling our lives when we're just like staying up late. And then if you're staying up till 11, 12, and you got to get up at 5 or 6 for work, like then you feel like shit because you're waking up and you're tired, you didn't get a good night's sleep. Or say it's the weekend and you stay up late and then you sleep in late, and you're wasting that good time that you could have filling with the thing that you claim you don't have time to do. And I'm not talking about for people that are like, man, I don't care, there's nothing that I really there's nothing else I'd really be like care to be doing right now. And so I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to wake up late and it makes me feel amazing. Cool. That's great for you. I'm talking about the people who claim they don't have time to do something. They don't have time to exercise. They don't have time to learn how to eat healthy. They don't have time to research how to start that business. They don't have time to start writing that book. They don't have time to spend with their kids or to take their dogs out. They don't have time to call their mom. Like there's so many things that we claim we don't have time to do, and it's a bunch of bullshit. So, you know, ways to kind of combat this is, I talked about this in my last episode, so go back and listen to it, is starting small and building a foundation. Because if you can do that, if you can start going to bed 20, 30 minutes earlier, you're going to start seeing how much better you feel. And that's going to motivate you for the next night to be like, man, I wonder how much better I feel if I get like an extra 30 minutes of sleep tonight. You know what I mean? So that's a huge time waster, is the amount that we waste staying up late. Because here's the thing. Yes, you may be awake more hours, but those hours are going to be so much less productive and you're going to feel like crap that you're not going to have the energy to do those things that you're wanting to do that you're claiming you don't have time to do. Okay. And the third one, everybody does this, is spending so much time watching the damn television. Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Peacock, ESPN. Like the amount of time we spend watching these shows and movies is insane. And I get it. Trust me. If there's a show, this is actually why I don't really watch a lot of Netflix or Hulu, because if there's a show that I'm into, I'm going to binge it until there's nothing left because I'm like, I have to know. I have to know what's happening. So for me, I really made the choice that like I don't honestly watch that much TV anymore. If I'm going to sit down, like right now, the college softball World Series is on and I am glued to the TV because I am obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with college softball since I was little. And so when the World Series is on, it's once a year. I am glued to the damn TV. I'm actually surprised I'm even recording this episode right now because there's a game right now, and whoever wins is going to the championship series. But here's a great example. I'm limited on time because I work the next couple days and I want to get this episode released. So I'm prioritizing this. I could have sat there and watched the game and it would have been over, probably around like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then I have to make dinner. And then I would be able to, then if I had to make dinner, get the dogs ready. I have to get ready for my work days. Then I don't have any time to do my podcast. Do you see how that's like a real life example of how I had to prioritize what I wanted to do because this podcast is important to me and I love doing this. So if I had chosen to just like sit down and like kick my feet up and be like, oh, I'm just gonna watch 20 minutes of this game, that would have turned into 30, would have turned into 45, and then it would have been a damn good game. And I would be like, well, I can't miss the end of this game. I would have watched the whole thing. And then I would have not had an episode to record this week. And that's the I don't have time to do this. Does that make sense? It's like a real life example that's literally happening right now. And the fourth time waster. This one is probably a little controversial, but I wrote it down anyways because I used to waste time doing this a lot. And that is, I wrote down drinking/smoking because whatever substance you're using to basically escape your life a little bit or help with the stress, that to me feels like a waste of time. And here's why, because when you're clouding your life with a substance, alcohol, marijuana, whatever that may be, you're not doing the things that, how are you, if I bring the example of exercise into this, you're not going to hit a huge bowl, go out and get a great workout in. Now, I was in college once. I smoked a lot of weed then. I drank a lot of alcohol then, and I was in the worst health of my life, physically. And, I don't know if I'd say mentally, that's up for debate, but physically, the worst shape of my life. I stopped working out. I was prioritizing all the wrong things. And back then, I claimed to not have any time to get to the gym because I was in nursing school. I was working at the restaurants, probably anywhere at the lowest end to like 20 hours a week, upwards of 40 hours a week. I was hanging out with my friends a lot. Like, I just didn't have the time to get myself into the gym. And in hindsight, I now realize that if I had replaced like an hour a day with just like all the shit that I was doing, I could have literally changed my entire life as far as my health went. And when I was in college, I really had some health scares, and I'll talk about those eventually. But it was a really dark time in my life. And again, as I look back, I'm like, I was drinking way too much. I was allowing myself to experiment with, I wouldn't say like a lot of drugs, but just like I was in college, I was young, I was dumb. And, I always was like allowing myself to just like be under the influence of something because it was just an easy way to just like escape life. And so that's why I kind of put that in this category of like a time waster because I remember, again, looking back, I remember just like how crappy I felt. And I thought it was serving me. I thought I was having a great time. And I did. Don't get me wrong. I really did. Like I had so much fun in college and I have so much amazing memories. And I wouldn't take those days back. I really wouldn't because people were amazing. The time was amazing. I had to learn some way. But overall, at this point in my life, like it is a waste of time for me to just like get home and have a glass of wine, have a beer, pour myself some vodka or some whiskey. Like I still do sometimes. Like I still go out, I still have drinks. I'm not sober, but like in the day-to-day life for me, it is a waste of time to be under the influence and putting things into my body that ultimately are going to make me feel sluggish and lack motivation to be the healthiest version of myself. Okay, so we've gone through 4 time wasters so far that I have touched on. Scrolling, staying up late, which means you're waking up late, watching Netflix, Hulu, binge watching any kind of TV or sports or whatever that may be. Or the fourth one, drinking or smoking to just ease your mind, which in turn is not serving you to go out and achieve those goals and dreams and visions that you have for yourself. And the last one that I really wanted to touch on was the amount of time we spend worrying, stressing, procrastinating. All this is kind of like one bubble that I want to touch on because for me, especially, this is a huge one for me. I spend so much time worrying and stressing and thinking about the future and wondering if what I'm doing is the right thing instead of just doing the damn thing and letting the universe take care of the rest. Like all I can do is what I can do and show up and do my best and allow myself to fail and give myself grace and room to learn and grow from those failures instead of wasting my time waster, huge time waster, worrying, stressing. Because I don't remember the statistic that's out there, Google it, but the amount of things that we stress and worry about that actually end up happening is so minute and so small that it's like all these made up scenarios that we come up with in our brains that never even end up happening. And I don't know why. I don't know the science behind this as to why humans do this, but it's not serving you. It's not serving me to sit here and be stressed and worry and be like, oh my God, for instance, on this podcast, how many views am I getting? How many people are watching? Yada, yada. Yes, data matters, numbers matter. And that's how, you keep track of things in business or whatever that may be. But what is stressing and worrying about it going to do? Like, all I can do is plan, execute, and do my best and show up. And what's going to happen is going to happen. And for me, that's a control thing. Like, I want to control so badly the outcomes of the things in my life that I will spend so much time worrying and stressing. And I'm working so hard on just letting go, doing and letting go, completing what I need to do, and letting the universe just take the rest and trusting in, whatever higher power that is for you, if that's God, if that's the universe, if that's your creator, whatever that is for you, just doing, showing up and letting go and letting the rest just kind of play out, baby. So I want you to think about it. Like through this episode, like there had to have been something that was popping into your mind of, you know, what am I claiming that I have no time to do? I think for a lot of people, it's exercise, but for you, that may be something else. Like maybe you're in super amazing good shape and you have exercise down, like you make the time, you prioritize it. But maybe for you, it's starting a business or, you know, maybe it's having a baby. Like maybe you want to start a family, but you don't have time. And it's like, honey, girl, boy, whoever you are, there's never going to be a good enough time to start a family. Like you're never going to have the perfect amount of time to just like sit back and be like, okay, I think I'm ready for that now. Like, no, like if it's something you want and, yes, there's factors to consider in your life, like to where you may be at a better time, but like there's never going to be the perfect time. You're never going to have enough time to just like sit and like devote your life to another person. Like nobody has the time for that. Like, so, you see what I'm trying to say here? Just try to find that thing that you are claiming to not have the time for and make time. I heard of this exercise once that like literally for like 24 hours, and this is like a lot. I've never actually done this, but I mean, it's kind of a lot of work, but I challenge you to try it if you're struggling with not having time. Is make a log for a 24-hour period and just write down like hour by hour, break it into 15-minute increments, whatever you have to do, and like write down like what am I doing? What am I doing? And like do this on like a regular typical day for you. Like what did I do? Oh, I just spent 15 minutes scrolling. I'm going to write that down. Or I just went for a walk for 15 minutes. I'm going to write that down. Or I just watched a TV show for the last 3 hours. Write that down and go through and be like, okay, now where in this can I squeeze in that little 20 to 30 minutes to get some movement in or physical activity? I really hope that this helped you and this made sense to you and just at least made you think. Sometimes I I really think that there's just been so many times in my life where like I've heard things multiple times and all it took was like that one person at the right time where my brain was in the right spot for me to be like, "Oh, duh." And then I made the change. Like you may have heard this 100 different times, but maybe this is just the right time in your life that you needed to hear it and at the right moment and that's going to motivate you to change something and take a look in the mirror, self-reflect and be like, "Yeah, like I do have the time. I've been making excuses and it's time for me to change that." So thank you guys so much for being here. This is the Mile 17 podcast. My name is Colton. Again, so excited for this new studio. This is so fabulous, so amazing. It really helps just with, honestly, with the aesthetic. It gives me space. I don't have my dogs running around in here. So thank you for being here. Go grab a cappuccino or a latte, unless it's night. Maybe grab some decaf or some tea or some water or whatever it is. And cheers to you and have a fantastic rest of your day, rest of your night, rest of your week, month. And I will catch you guys next time. Thank you so much.